to introduce our guest. We have Miss Celia Cuffy-Brown, who is the director of the National Housing Authority in Monrovia, Liberia. Prior to that, she was the deputy managing director for administration at the National Port Authority of Liberia. And prior to that, she was the executive director, technical services at the National Port Authority of Liberia. And prior to that, she was, if I'm not mistaken, project manager, Miss Celia, of where?
Maritime.
Project manager of Maritime. So as you see, this lady comes with a long list of working in administration, and it doesn't matter which administration, that is not what we're here to discuss. And joining us is a guest investor of Miss Celia that she invited on, and let me give you a bio of the gentleman that you see sitting down to her left or my right, either one. Mr. Ian Fenwick is the founder and CEO of ALR Projects Limited, a United Kingdom company working in association with Clifton Africa Limited, an international investment organization for our housing and investment projects in Liberia. As an entrepreneur, deal maker, the wealth of experience that he has gained over 40 years has given him a unique, over the horizon, natural vision and ability to recognize and create business opportunities where many others fail to look. Liberia, he says, is a perfect example of a country with vast potential being overlooked by so many. He's recently returned for his 5th visit to Liberia, where he was hosted by the Honorable Miss Celia Cuffy-Brown of the National Housing Authority. In addition to visiting potential sites for houses building development, he's held several discussions, meetings with the ministers, the chairman of the National Investment Commission, and the president of LBDI about their intention to invest, develop, and build low to middle income houses and invest in an LBDI NHA ALR joint venture affordable mortgage program for our homes. Wow, this is exciting. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, this man is also doesn't just do business. He's also someone that looks to be a mentor as well. And he's in his business activity. He's a chairman and coach of a large United Kingdom Football Association, the Youth Football Club in Worthing in Sussex. As we progress in Liberia, my ambition, he says his ambition is to form an affiliation and sponsorship arrangement with a Liberian youth football organization. So here you go. Yeah, we have it. This man is bringing housing, and he's also bringing football boots to Liberia. Dennis, back to you as we get ready to get into our knowing our panelists more. Thank you.
Thank you. And we want to say welcome starting with Mrs. Celia Cuffy-Brown, someone I knew all from here before going to Liberia. We say welcome for the first time on Focus on Liberia. We gave you our ceremonial cola. Welcome, Cici.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are excited. I mean, you're talking about something that, in Liberia we see, and Dennis knows me, we talk about this quite often. And you talk about mortgage. I mean, those are just exciting topics.
I can see the excitement. We want to also welcome you from joining us from the UK, Mr. Ian Fenwick, who's a potential investor that Mrs. Brown has brought on so that he can share with us. Mr. Fenwick, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on.
Great. And you are a fan of Arsenal. I am too. I used to be.
I still am, but only with disappointment.
Back to you, William. Let's get this started.
Okay, so Honorable Celia, can you briefly tell us a little bit about the NHA? Where does NHA get its mandate?
Okay, first of all, I was at the port authorities, as you rightly said, and then last year, June 18, I was appointed at the NHA. For most of the public corporations, I think after the election, for some reason, they weren't functioning. There was no money. So you are an MD. They give you an institution to run, and the institution doesn't have any money. Well, you have to be able to formulate strategies that will ensure that you get your work done, or else what kind of managing director are you? So I took over the National Housing Authority with completely empty coffers. But I thought this way. When I was young, I felt the NHA was established in April of 1960. And totally, in totality, the corporation has built 2,180 housing units all over Liberia. Now, I mean, an entity that was established, for decades, to have only built 2,180 housing units, it's just wasn't heard of. So, the president gave me a mandate. The mandate was, Celia, you're a deputy at another institution. I need you to go and head this institution and make something out of it the same way you did at the Port Authority. So I took that mandate very seriously. And, it's something you also have to pray about, because it's not only the master degree that works, They give you an empty house and say, fill this house up and let's see what you can do. You have to go to a higher power to give you wisdom to go about it. Now, normally the National Housing Authority was set up that even our public corporations will be the investors. But as time goes by, I think we should be, if we're an authority, we should be policy makers, we should invite investors, from all over the world. So I thought it that way. And one of the first things I did when after a few months, I decided to have a housing forum. So we put this forum together. I reached out to other people to help me out. And we put a forum together and we invited, investors from all over the world. That forum lasted for 3 days. And from the forum, we were able to sign up, some investors. Now, prior to the forum, we had one investor. We signed a contract with that investor, and the contract was for 50,000. It's for 50,000 housing units, all over the Republic of Liberia. Now, also keep in mind the investors are investing so they too can, we don't want their money to be stuck. So we have to carry the investment to places where there's a lot of economic activities. So we started with Margibi County, the rival fees fresh. And then besides that, the corporations, as the company that we have signed up with, we signed the first contract with. The company's name is Access. And as we are speaking now, they've already started construction. We also signed up with Millennium Construction Company. They're constructing 5,000 housing units. The first place we gave them, that was somewhere around close to Rousey Highway. It's called Jungle Farm, but you couldn't see the houses on the road. And so they started with 200 houses in that area. And then we moved them up to, the houses were so beautiful that, we gave them another lane that is opposite the shuffling barracks. And there they're constructing, 5,000. We are planning a city, and that city is called a 14 military, city, because, the 14 military hospital is there is a beautiful hospital, and we thought we should do, some housing around that area. So we're going to construct 5,000 housing units in that area. And now,
Susie, before you continue, when you say this housing unit, is it an apartment for people to rent? Is it low income? Is it, what really it is when you say these housing units?
Let me tell you something, okay? We have to cater to every body in the society. If you're a housing authority, you don't just go build, shacks all over the place, like, Balanceway Estate, like Stephen Tower Estate, like, the ones they have in Nikuta and Lokintown. No, we have to think big. I've lived in America for 15 years. So when you've worked in America, you live here, when you go to Liberia, you have to take the knowledge that you've got here there. Now, in America here, you don't take $200,000 and go buy a house unless you have that kind of money. I've bought 2 houses in America here. I bought a townhouse first, and then I bought another 5-bedroom house in Upper Marlboro. The way you do it, according to your income, you buy a house according to your income. Now, nobody has money, right? People want to live in nice houses, but they don't have lump sum of money like the way, even here, nobody has, lump sum of money. So what we intended to do was the experience that I had from here was the same experience I also wanted to carry home. I wanted to make housing affordable to everybody. So we build the houses in different categories. We have, different samples from 20,000 onwards to, if you want, we are planning with all of our housing units are in a planned community. That planned community consists of houses from 20,000 to as far as 200,000.
Okay.
So it's not, if you say pro-poor, yes, it is pro-poor because we are trying to make housing affordable for everybody. Long ago, you build $20,000 houses and you will find, the big guns will go and live in those houses. That's not what we want. What we want is if you're a big gun, go to the sales place, go and buy the 200,000 house because you can afford it. If you're a person with a small salary, you make 1,000, 1,500, you can go and pick a house that suits your pocket. So we have different models, on in at the various sites. We have different things, but the models they're beautiful. They're well coordinated because we don't want the value of the houses to go down when people just sporadically build houses. So we have planned communities, and the communities are already there. When you're a builder, before you start to build, you must give me your plan, your plan of action, the houses that you're building. I have to approve those houses before you can start anything. And before you start, my engineers will be there.
Okay. William, you are on mute.
What about your funding? How do you sometimes, what about funding? How do you fund your development?
This is what we do, okay? When an investor comes and they show us their portfolio, we have land, we identify, and first of all, they bring in their plan. And when they bring in their plan, we know how many acres they need. And if if the plans commensurate with what we want, if it's desirable to us, then we do this here. You can link up with a bank and you put your money in the bank. You build your houses. We will monitor your houses. There's an agreement that after the houses are built, they must give us a percentage, off of the sale price of each house, because that's the only way we'll be able to run the institution, So, of course, we know the investor's portfolio first.
Okay, that's good. So far, what's the achievements? How do you feel about that progress on the housing, the 5,000? How do you feel about the progress?
We have already started. Last year when we invited the president to our forum, I think we have so many people, so many investors there. So the COVID really slowed some investors down. But let me tell you, the investors right now, they're constructing. They're constructing. One of the reasons why I invited, Ian Fenwick here, because, every time some Liberians, maybe in the diaspora, you don't think that the things that are happening in Liberia are happening there. Things are happening in Liberia. We are progressing. A journey of 1,000 miles, starts with, one step first. So you talk about the 5,000 units, they're being constructed now. The first thing we needed to do was to have models of all the houses. Now, let me tell you something. Most of the banks were not giving mortgage loan. You have to reach out to the banks if you're, housing managing director. You have to reach out to the banks. The reason why the banks weren't giving loans, but because, first of all, if you give somebody a loan and they construct a house somewhere where the other houses that are around that area, are not similar to the one, that your client is building, what happens is that it devalues the house. So once we started these planned communities, we reached out to the banks. So if you want to buy a house, you have to go to, first you pick out a house that suits your pocket. And then, you go to you don't come to NHA, you go on the site, you pick a house. Our sales offices are there. We have, because, we are partnering with investors. So NHA salespeople are there, and the investors also have sales. So a team is there. So you pick out your house, and then after that, you go to Echo Bank, UBA Bank, or LBDI Bank. Those are the banks, that are into our program right now, and they're very excited. And you must have a payroll account with them. So we've made it easy. You don't have to have thousands of dollars to go and buy a house, but you can link through the bank once you have a good job, once you have a job, just like exactly the way it is done here.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sisi.
Awesome. What about Ian? What excites you about the process that Celia mentioned, that you said, okay, hey, you know what? Maybe there's something there. What excited you about that?
And Ian, before you answer the question, let's go back and see how you got connected. You got connected with Liberia, with Cecilia and NHA.
Okay, thank you. So my business originally, I was working in East Africa on some projects there, and it was contacted and said, would you be interested in, this was 2.5 years ago, would you be interested in looking at Liberia? So I just decided to, I think it was just about the time that that President George Weah administration had been in place. So I decided to just take a journey out there, take a trip out there and have a look at the situation. And then the following 4 visits, things developed from there. But I think the most exciting thing about Liberia was that their appetite for houses. Lots of countries in Africa have an appetite for houses, but the background that our team do, risk analysis, development analysis, is the feedback is, Liberia is quite an incredible country. There's a lot of instability all over the world, regardless to the COVID pandemic. And a country, the way that we looked at this is that, and our research was that a country that's had 2 civil wars and Ebola, and they've got such an appetite and a desire to progress and succeed, and that was a huge flag for us to be. This is a country to be working in, and to be investing in. So the 4 visits after that. It was just developing, and as Celia said, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step, and it's just making progress each time, and to see the development. From my first trip out there 2.5 years ago to my last visit in September, it was really encouraging for us to see that there are projects already being built out there. We went to see houses that were being built out there. We went to developments they're already done. So there's a risk set aside for that to see that other people are doing it. That didn't concern us. Liberia has an appetite for far more houses than we can build. So there's room for lots of us to do it. And then it also makes it a fairer market by having more than one investor. Our plan is not to just be the only house building company in Liberia. That you need many others and different approaches and different styles.
And Ian, it's very important that you join this, and thanks to Celia for inviting you so that we can see, as she said, that things are actually happening. In your market analysis of Liberia, now you speak of appetite and desire, and we know that as an investor, appetite and desire alone would not make you to invest. In what else do you see in Liberia for which you decided to give it a look?
Well, I just the basis of it really is appetite and desire, but also the country is the country we see as such a progressive developing country, but because it's the 5 million population, it does fall under the radar of the huge investment.
Okay, we got to pause there for a second, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, he's calling us all the way from the United Kingdom. And so we'll continue when he does come back on. Celia, what we will ask is, how did this relationship develop between Ian and the National Housing Authority? Was it natural, just progression, similar desires, or did you have to convince him a little bit?
My job, don't forget, I worked with Honda Motors here for 10 years.
Okay.
What we do is negotiations. We sell, we close deals. And I wasn't just a novice salesperson. I was a top sales consultant. I made Washington, D.C. top 25 consultants for Honda. I made Honda go level 2. So I'm not a small potato here. But you know that in Liberia, but that's not the point. The point here is that when I got to Housing, Ian contacted me, and then we struck a friendship, on Facebook. We talk about other things. And even when I work with Honda, most of the time we don't talk about sales. We talk about other things, concerning life, concerning our family, and that's with all of the investors that I come across. I think it's just a natural thing, you got to be trustworthy. People got to trust you. That's why, when someone messes with my integrity, I get very upset because the only thing you have is your word. So we struck a friendship. We talk about diverse, and that he has been to Liberia before, and we talk about housing. And that's where I was, and that's where I am, at the time. So we talk about a year or so. And then I was also working on other investors too, who had already started. So I encouraged, he had been here he had been to Liberia 4 or 5 times. So I encouraged him. When we had a meeting, Zoom meeting, he and I, we talk about, COVID, how it's affecting, whether if it is affecting Liberia, what he could do. Yeah, so we talk about, hello?
Yes, Ian coming back.
Yes, coming back. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so we talk about, we talk about other things, and then we struck on housing too. And I encouraged him that, the housing market was booming, and I asked him to come to Liberia, and he agreed, even though he was going to be locked down for 2 weeks after his return from Liberia, but he still, made a trip to Liberia. I took him to, of course, we have our boss. I took him to Honorable McGee, who usually, if I'm having a little problem, who I can go to, to straighten things out for me. And then we also went to the Ministry of Health because he's also interested in, they're interested in doing a donation, but the First Lady office is already talking to them on this one. So I'll put a pause on it because, and then We talked about mortgage, that, if they build houses, they must be able to have money to loan, to give to people to be able to buy those houses. So we agreed. We went to John Davis, who is the president for LBDI Bank, and John always worked with me when it comes to, he's very, very cooperative. I think as government officials, we have to reach over to one another. So we talk about it, and I will let Ian, talk on that part. But when I invited him to Liberia, he agreed, he came, and this is why in business, you don't just make money. You build relationships that are, that will be long lasting. And, and I asked him why you're like Liberia, why you want to come to Liberia. And he told me something. He said, look, your president, we know him, he lives in Europe. Your president is a millionaire already. We know that. He was democratically elected, and we know that, there will be no confusion in Liberia because he was democratically elected. And that's the kind of territory we like to do business in. People who have money don't go and take little money that belong to the people. So they have that confidence in our president. And so he came over, and, I think today, actually, that deal for Ian is finalized.
Amen.
I'm glad to tell you that it is finalized. So they will be building 4,000 housing units, and they will provide the mortgage money at a very minimum interest rate, which is good for Liberia. So when you have investors, you have to not just want their money, but you have to form a lasting relationship with them. They must be able to trust you. They must come into your home to see the kind of life that you live. When Ian came to Liberia, we went to my home, because we have interest in the same thing. In fact, we pray together that the project would take off. That's the kind of thing. Those are the things our president wanted. Last time when he went to take a look at our housing units, and he made a remark. He said, you know what? You love your country. When you go out there, talk about your country, that so much so that other people will be encouraged. If you don't talk about it, I believe in Liberia 100% because I've been living there for 10 years. And I know the potential of Liberia. And those who don't do business now, trust me, 5-10 years from now, if they can't do business, it will be tough. But those who go there now, I'm telling you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are discussing housing in Liberia. Our guest is the managing director of NHA, that's the National Housing Authority. We also have Mr. Ian Fenwick, an investor or potential. In fact, CCC is already being finalized. So an investor in housing in Liberia, and with the...
I'm the only person who needs to sign.
Right, with the possibility of doing more.
I'm telling you now.
So, CC, before I go to Ian now, if are people in those housings that units already, and what's the process if I want one?
No, what we do is we build sample houses first. Okay. Now, if you want one, you go on a site and you pick the one that you want.
And what's the site?
Yeah, you go on the site. The bankers are on the site there too. Like I said, go to UBA Bank. Now, for the diaspora people, this is why it is good that we're having this program. And I hope there are listeners, out there. Yeah. A diaspora person does not have a payroll account in Liberia. So we want to, there are other people out there who believe in, who know Liberians are working here, they are earning money. Now, Liberians will go home in the future. One of the reasons why we had this, I was very meticulous about what kind of communities I wanted, was because I know Liberians live here. When they go back home, they want something similar, to something similar, even better to how they are used to living here. Liberians are here making money. They make over $100,000. When I live here, I work here, I make $104,000. So I know there are other Liberians who are working and making $70,000, $75,000, and over $100,000. So if you want to buy a house, we need to formulate some kind of program here. If anybody's listening and you have that desire, let's start, like Ian is they're going to build houses, and they're also They will also have a mortgage company. We want other people here to, we're building their houses too. So if you have a way of financing the diaspora people, to go to Liberia and buy their houses, that would be fine. I have two girlfriends. They went into their 401ks. They took, one of them bought one of the 100,000 housing units. One is buying a 200,000 with a swimming pool and all that kind of thing. Some people will buy the 20,000. A military guy from here, a friend of mine, is buying the 40,000, the 44,000 units. So depending on what your desire is. So, and you have to give it to this government. And let me tell you something, because you kept saying Propo. Let me emphatically say something. Since 1960, April 7, that NHA was established. NHA has total housing built in Liberia, 2,180 housing units. Just from last year, this Bekube time. Yeah, I would say Bekube time. We already have 50,000 housing units being built. We have 5,000 now, that the construction for these houses have already started. And then we have Ian, who is also coming in and bringing in both mortgage and housing. And like I said, I won't say future, because his deal is it's not almost. I'm the last signature. I'm the last person that needs to sign. And I'm going to Liberia a week from now, and they too will follow. So we're progressing. We will progress because we believe in Liberia. So give it to this president here for taking me to National Housing Authority, that we've made this progress in 1 year, and from June to October to November, 1 year, 4 months, as a matter of fact. So kudos, to us. So it means that we mean business to service the Liberian people.
Thank you. Let's go back to Ian. Ian, you were saying something when you got disconnected.
I was, yeah. Sorry about that. My connection in the UK failed. So I think Celia covered most of what we're doing, but the whole idea, as we say, there are several other construction companies out there. We are a construction company, but we're also the investment company as well. So I think that what is going to make our project unique and different and affordable to the people, whether it's the people in Liberia or the diaspora, is the affordable mortgages. And we've had 6 weeks since my return back from Liberia. During my 8 days out there, I had 3 meetings with Celia and the president of the LBDI Bank. They're the partners. They're the banking partners of the NHA. And we've, as you say, we've reached the agreement with them today on how we can offer the mortgages for those. So, as I said before, the mortgages is a very important part of it, because if the interest rate's so high, the loan, the mortgage, is unaffordable rather than the house. But the important part about that is that what we're actually planning to do is to create economic development. I know Celia made reference to the remarkable job that the president is doing with his pro-poor agenda. Well, yes, it does start with a pro-poor agenda, but we actually, by creating employment, you're actually creating economic developments in the country, just in one sector, just in one market sector, one industry. So things move on from there. And also with the large scale of the range of the houses, people buying a $25,000 house, if they've now got employment and you're generating employment and prosperity into an area, they won't always want to be. They don't have to live in that house for the rest of their life. So just like there is in the US and in the UK and everywhere else in the world, it's very likely to create a buoyant housing market. So someone could be buying here now in November 2020 a $25,000 house, which is their starter home, and then in 2 years' time they could be selling that at whatever the cost of the increase. Maybe selling that for $30,000 and moving up to a $60,000 house. So it's actually creating a buoyant market, a housing market, which is it's everywhere else in every country in the world. It just creates that economic sector.
And Ian, your company is the Anglo Liberia Resources Limited, ALR for short.
ALR Projects, yes.
Right. Tell me about that company and where else do you operate?
Okay, so I personally, my companies, I operate in not in housing. This is something new. My background is for 20 years. I developed and owned a telecoms and data company in the UK. So I know very little about telecoms and data, and I own that business for 20 years. So it's my background is I'm a salesman. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a deal maker. So it's having the vision to see these opportunities and then surrounding yourself with the experts. I do know probably more about house building in Africa in the last 2 years than I knew about telecoms and data in the last 20 years. So it's something to get excited about. Telecoms and data connections that wasn't that exciting. So the company, we partner with Clifton Africa, our associate company. They're actually the construction company. And the background of Clifton Africa is they're also part of a UK stock market, premier stock market quoted company, which gives them access to all the investment that's required. So it's not a one-man band. I can't make claim to being the builder and the developer of all of it. It's just that I'm the CEO and the founder of the company with an awful lot of very clever, well-connected, industrious people working in association with them.
You doing some housing projects in other parts of Africa?
Yes, Clifton Africa are working. I think they're working. They're working in military base housing for military in Ghana and in Côte d'Ivoire as well. But over the last 6 months, since as things have progressed with Liberia, we're focusing really on Liberia. We're not really looking to expand outside of Liberia. That market is exciting and enough for us to be getting on with. We don't want to spread ourselves too thin by saying, well, we're doing a fantastic job building 4,000 houses. Celia mentioned 4,000 houses, but that is only the start of it. We don't want to come in and say we're going to build 100,000 houses. We know that what the number, the president's figure on the numbers of houses that it requires, but as we build them, it will become modular. We'll build and then increase as we move along.
Yeah. Let me come back to you, Mrs. Brown. Let's talk about zoning. Closely related to housing is also zoning, where the authority will restrict certain land uses to some neighborhoods and define what is allowed to be built here or there. How are we doing with zoning as you do these constructions?
Yeah, well, basically zoning is with the public work ministry, but I wish, anyway, we are policy people, but I wish we had more responsibility to ensure that, people build different, but this is something we have to do. You see, as we begin to have planned communities like here, the narrative would change. People, the minds of people would develop, because I tell you this, the mayors and the commissioners, especially the township commissioners, they got to go to some kind of real estate school, something, so they will learn, the zoning law that you can't build something here, you can't build something. And you also have to know that Liberia is so politically charged. Everything, is this politic thing here. For me, let me tell you something. I don't go by politics. I love Liberia. I want to see Liberia develop. So therefore, I will, do stuff. I will do the right things, but make sure that you give people the experience that they want. Eventually, you see, when I came to America newly, there were some dilapidated houses here. Go along, New York Avenue, going to DC there. They have some dilapidated houses. Over the years, I lived here 15 years and went on and off 3 years, to between Liberia and America, 18 years. as I drive along New York Avenue, I don't see those buildings anymore. Even, some part of Maryland, yeah. You look around a place that was a bush, you see, new housing development, there. Liberia had vast land all over the place. We have lots of economic thing going on. We have Banga, we got Ganta, we got Buchanan, the road is paved, to these cities here. So we can start making headways, go to Nema County, go around the border. So eventually everybody will get to that level. Minister Nyimpa has started that, God forbid, he's gone. But I think the people at public work are very, very conscious. Even our communities, the plain communities that we have in, the roads and everything planned in those communities. We have schools there. We have recreational area. That's the American experience. It's what, we like to carry home. Remember too, we have a president who has lived all around the world, and our president really, really, really want for Liberia to develop. It's just that, economically, we weren't there. And then now with this COVID here, but nothing is slowing us down, so we're working it has to do with, collaboration with the commissioners too. So when I get home, that's the next phase, the Magibi Land Commissioner is really, really working with us. We have a very good working relationship, but I perhaps need to call another meeting of the township commissioners, because they will have to give us land. And then, someone needs to conscientize them that you can't just allow people to build anywhere now from now onwards, because we're trying to get into a new Liberia.
And that was my next question as to, because in Liberia, almost every land you go, there's somebody owns it. Who owns the land where you are making constructing these units? Is it government land, people land, or how is it being acquired?
Well, NHA has her own land. Some time ago, where we are now building the 5,000 housing units, some time ago, the township people in that place own that land, but they were fighting among themselves. So eventually they had to call in the military, and the military became the custodian of that, that land. It's very ideal for a beautiful city. So, we had an agreement with the military people that, we gave them 20% off, anything that they want to buy. So in that way, at least they get something too. And then they are the custodian for the township people. So as people buying the houses, we take some funds, for the township, and we give it, we give it to the township people. They can either do something for them, but we prefer to have a fund for them where they can decide what they want to do. Another thing we try to do again that makes it, we could have done this thing so easily. If we go to a township and the people, they have their land, they have their land, we negotiate with them. We always have a tripartite agreement with those people. So once you have an agreement with the people, and the people are going to be getting something, there's no noise, because first of all, every town chief want development in their area, because it creates job for them. You'll be surprised. And it's these projects, the people that are working on these projects, we have a lot of young students that graduated from MVTC, those people need to work. We have carpenters, we have masoners, we have all those people who can do any work. So these projects will create jobs for them all over the place, So it's not only for job creation, but we will also have decent playing communities, and the township people looking for a place to work. So if they're looking for, they can't just be in a town like that. So if you get with the people honestly, you don't take their land from them, because oftentimes, even when investors go to Liberia before, during Ellington, I remember the people will go to a meeting, they will decide already, then they will give the land to the investors. Right. They won't have any conversation with the township people. Next thing, the township people just see caterpillar all over the place. No, we don't want to do like that. We want to always have a communication. We want to solidify, our agreement with the communities, have a tripartite agreement with them, open bank account for them where, as our houses being bought and we have our commission, we also give them something, for their land too, because we don't have that much money to buy land. That brings me to the diaspora Liberians.
Before you get there, Sisi, because I want to be clear on the land acquisition. You said there was this land, and then the people were having confusion. The military went and took it over, and now you are, having that negotiation with the military. So, and then in other areas,
they were the custodian. They are the custodian. They're not the owner of the land, but they're the custodian for the township people. We got military and police, for them to be able to. But we have already consulted with the township people, so everything is on course.
So if you went into, let's say, into an area to do a construction, normally the land is for the locals. So we call it locals. Right. So you are negotiating with them to take the land, and then you give them. You say you enter a tripartite agreement.
Sometimes what happens is that if we have lump sum of money, we give to them. If we don't have lump sum of money and they too want development, but we also, NHA also have a lot of land banks. Don't get me wrong, over the period of time, NHA bought land, that we can always use. But say an investor, goes to a township and he like it, they like the township and the people need development there. The thing is that it's all about trust. Yeah. It's all about trust. When you engage the people, purposefully, to help them to like there's a place they call how they call it, something a hill, Tower Hill. We went there, the people were, trying to give problem. I went into the township, I talked to the people, and the people were at peace. People want development, but you can't just take advantage of them. So we are prepared to do all of that. Where the need arises, we will do that. If it is our land bank, we don't have to do all of that.
Thank you. Ian, let me come back to you because going to invest in Liberia, you are not non-profit. You want to make profit.
We are definitely a profit company. We're a commercial organisation, right. And we're not a charity. We are supported by some highly successful philanthropists that want to do good as well. So yes, our intention is to make profit. It's certainly not donor houses, and but one of the things that Celia may want to mention as well, that picking on the subject that Celia was just talking about, was that looking at countries in Africa, that's our interest is in Africa. So looking at them, dealing with local landowners is a huge task for companies like us. We go in, we don't know who we're dealing with. In other countries, we've looked at buying the land, everyone owns it, but no one has the deeds for those lands and right. Things like that. What appeals to us about Liberia is actually to dealing with the housing authority. It started off that my very first meeting in Liberia was in Minister McGill's office, and he introduced me to Chairman Gray, Chairman of the NIC. And then it just progressed on from there. And then last year when Celia took office at the NHA, it just appeals to us that we're dealing with one organisation. And then that organisation, they're the experts on the local land and the local people. But by building the trust is one of the areas that we are working on, is when people see ALR, Clifton Africa projects, the very first project is that we're actually going to be building supplying free fully equipped surge hospitals in various areas around. They're not just for COVID hospitals, because the news around the world today is that we believe that we've had a vaccine, so there's light at the end of that tunnel. So I'm going to have to put a battery charger in. So it's we're going to be providing Liberia with free, fully equipped hospitals. So that is alone, building the trust. You just win the trust of the people whilst you're doing business, and that just helps things progress as you go along.
Thank you. Let me read a few comments. Our time is fast spent. So comments here, we have Ambassador R.C. Nimland Jr. says, Celia, how many jobs have the NHA created and how many is this arrangement with Ian expect to create?
First of all, we don't only have Ian, we have different sites. So yes, the houses that are being built, they have been built by somebody. We don't go build them ourselves. The locals that are there, we focus. For me personally, I focus on the locals. If they have skills, then they come there. And some of the jobs, some of the projects are meant to also teach the people new skills also too. So yes, we may not have, hire 50,000 people, but yes, the locals there, the economic activities in the area, because people from within those areas, from the Ralphie Highway, people in the area, at least, they have jobs. So right. It's eventually, as we progress, we hire more people. As we progress, we hire more people. And remember, these projects are some of them for 5 years, some of them for 10 years. So, I may be at Housing today. Tomorrow, I can be, taking from Housing and taking somewhere else. But at least we've already laid a foundation, and the interest rate, like some of these companies say, we are policy maker. Somebody can, just add any kind of profit that they want. It has to be, agreeable. It has to make sense, not to milk us. Here in America, where you are, when you go buy houses, they don't give it free, but they do, first of all, the interest rate, but it has to be, there's no need to go make, look at it this way. If you want to sell houses, you carry your mortgage money. If the interest rate is astronomical, nobody will buy your houses. Nobody will buy your houses. So the lesser, the lesser you do, the quicker your goods will go. Right. And so those are the kind of things to regulate.
What are some of those jobs that being created out of these projects?
Well, let me ask you something. When you're building houses, you don't go call white collar people. We have carpenters. Remember, we have the MVTC, Moria Vocational Training Center, and Zoga Wilson is doing a great job with that. Except that for each area that we go to construct, we have to hire people from the area. We won't take people from Barnesville to go to Ralphie Highway, but we'll take the people who are living in that area who have the skills. They will go on the site and they will be tested, and then they begin to work. So we're not it's not 1 million people, but at least we have people working and they're happy about their work.
And we are happy also that people can have jobs. Benedict Phillips, right? The economy is stagnant. How are you making this encouraging for folks wanting to make purchase decision in Liberia? How many people in Liberia can really afford these homes? What is the percent?
How many jobs do the people have? Let's just say is Liberia a little village? Aren't people working here? How many, they say everybody that have house here, but people have apartments, right? So let me tell you something. I would prefer to have a house than to go rent somebody's house. If it is affordable for the banks to give you a loan while you're working, it is better for you to go buy that house by yourself. That's why I did in America here. I didn't live in nobody's apartment until after I diversified, after I sold my houses and because I wanted to go home. But you gotta decide for yourself how many jobs are there. You see, you can't think so little of Liberia like that. And let's get to the nitty-gritty. How many people? It can't be political. Many people are working. People are making money in Liberia. We have companies in Liberia. So people are making money. People are making $500 per month. Some people are making, of course, you're making $150. You're not going to buy a house. But if you're making from $500 per month to $4,500, you can buy a house. So if we sit here, listen, I left from in America here and I went to Liberia. I didn't steal government money, but you know what? I built a house. Was I not working? I was working. So it has to be a choice. Either we listen to the politicians who never think anything good is coming from Liberia, or we decide to take, the Bible says, as a man thinks, so is he. So if you think you can't buy a house because how many people are working? When people are working in Liberia, we may not have, everybody working, but in America, they're not everybody, it's not everybody who's working. And you don't find, yes, there's hard time in Liberia, but you don't see people falling off in the street, every moment and they're dying. So, we need to stop this thing. If we want for Liberia to be developed, we need to stop this thing. We need to stop the negative thinking. We got to think positively. When I was going to Liberia 10 years ago, I knew Dennis, and in fact, my pastor thought I was crazy. You got everything in America here. Why are you going to Liberia? And I didn't live a cheap life here. I live in a $500,000 house in here. I drove a Mercedes Benz here while my friends were driving Toyota. But I left everything here. I went to Liberia, and I'm glad I did because I have a home. I didn't say, well, how the people eating in West Point? If God can feed the people in West Point, God can feed me. God can feed you. So we can either sit down here or we can decide to go home to build our country. Either we can sit here and buy more of Liberia, or we can decide to go home and do something. I'm doing something. I was giving an institution that had no money, but guess what? I'm putting money in that institution. I was giving the National Port Authority. Let me go there. I was giving the National Port Authority with only $243,000. Payroll was $329,000. Where I am a managing director. We find strategy to make things work. We don't sit down and become negative. Everything is negative. People who are negative, they never go anywhere. I'm not negative. I know Liberia is going somewhere. Whether anybody thinks so or not, that's where we were born.
Yeah. And Cecilia, a lot of people on the show are very positive. People are excited. They like what you are doing. They're just asking the questions so that we can get a clear area as to what needs to be done and how they can benefit and how everybody can help. So I think they are positive.
Let me tell you another way that people can benefit. What you have experienced, you have to give it to other people. Like I came from here. In 2003, I bought 2 acres of land on Rowersfield Highway. The person who sold me the land resold it to other people. 2006, when I went home to build, I couldn't build anything there. I didn't want the litigation because it's just a waste of time. I bought another land. That land that I have my house on now, I went to court twice. In fact, the people and myself almost fought, because like you would go crazy if somebody is trying to build on your land. So with all of these things, then there are some other people, you send your money to your relatives. Let me tell you what they would do. They would take somebody else's house picture. They would send it to you. You would think they're building your house. The night when you get there, so booger, so lie. Now, if I have experienced that, I don't want you, the diaspora Liberian. Let me tell you something, because I've been here before, and I know my fellow, diaspora Liberian. So I too wanted to do something good for you. It means that, some way, somehow, if you want to buy a house, you don't have to go through the land litigation. In fact, most of the houses we're building now, they're already fenced in. So if you want to have nothing to do with your neighbor, it's not, again, our houses, and if you go on my Facebook page, you will see the kind of houses that we're building. Even we have not, now that we've signed a deal, we've solidified a deal with Ian and his company, we'll see what kind of house. So we have houses for every category. You want swimming pool in your yard, I will put it there. You want boy squatter, I will put it there. You want a cathedral ceiling, I will put it there. But I want us to formulate a program here so that diaspora Liberians will also enjoy what we're doing there. Because trust me, time will come, you'll want to go home. I wanted to go home. And other people, I wasn't going home because I was suffering. Everybody in Maryland know me here. I didn't ride bus. Like I said, I didn't ride Hyundai. Even though I sold them, I rode Mercedes Benz, brand new, not used ones too. So I'm just saying, I'm not boasting, but I'm saying that I want to do it for you. The government also want to do it. We're doing, how they call it, things dual citizenship. We're doing all those things. And so it's to encourage our brothers and sisters who are educated, to go back home. When you go back home, you can stay in your family house. You stay there 1 month, 2 months, people start getting agitated. So while you're here, you can, can contact us. And you can buy a house, and then when you come home, it's waiting for you. Go to your 401k, you can do so. You can go to your investment account, do so.
Thank you. Ian, we're trying to wind down now, but before the show started, we were talking about other areas that you are interested in or your company is interested in Liberia. So talk to me and my viewers briefly about other things that you want to get involved in or that you're already doing.
Okay, so there's a little bit of confidentiality here because it's still in the development stage. So it is. We started off with an interest in fisheries because we had a associate company that was interested in fisheries, and I think that probably towards the middle of next year we shall go back to that. There's a huge market for international fisheries all along the West African coast. There's an awful lot of problems all along the coast, in fact all around the world with fisheries, so we'll come back to that. But one of the other areas is actually it's the general investment, the LBDI. We've carried out an awful lot of research, and we have reached agreement with the LBDI because that's the Liberian bank that's wholly owned by Liberia. And that seems to be the direction, or that's the direction that we're going into. So we're looking into developing investment into the bank. And then through one of our other partners, we're looking at the gold industry as well. So, but that's in early stages at the moment. So I can't really sort of talk about that with any real knowledge because it's at very, very early stages. So, but as things progress, we want to be a master of one, and the house building that will certainly be our project. But the whole idea about this, Dennis, is that when people around the world internationally, we're fortunate. Where I live in Sussex, we're only an hour from London. And London's a huge place, but a small community with regard to international investment community. And when people see what we're doing, others will follow. So it won't just be what we're doing in Liberia. It will be, we're there. We're certainly not the first to be there, but this is a good time. Interest rates around the world for money, interest rates are low at the moment. So other people will be looking to make investment interest, and others will follow. So it doesn't need to be through us. We're not going to be the Liberian investment company, but it's good for Liberia if other companies that follow, whatever that industry is going to be. I could see that on the news today. There's the roads being built and other projects there. And my 8 days out there, we spend a whole lot of time on the road looking at all these projects, not just for our housing developments, just to see the development in the country. So there's a lot on the map for Liberia in the very, very short term.
Right. Thank you. We have less than 25 minutes to end the show, but we'll take a few calls. If you want to join the conversation, please call. The number is on the screen. Right there, 605-313-6004. The code is 791403. So join, call quickly and be a part of the discussion. We still have a lot of comments here. Mariah Nelson said, "God bless you, my sister. Continue on the good work. You and your investor do not pay attention to the foolish politician." We don't like that word, foolish politician. There's nobody foolish here because they don't have good intentions for Liberia and the children. God bless you. Well, Moses Ma Richardson. So what's the average pay for the National Port Authority? It's not. Okay. Since you were talking about the website where we can go for the land, what specifically is that website?
We are revamping our website, but we have that. If you go to NHA,
okay,
I will post it.
All right.
Yeah, we had a website, but we're trying to revamp it because now we are working together with the investors. So you go on the investors' website, you will get the same. You will get to look at the houses, and ours has. I think it was a project that we were working on, so I think by now it is completed.
All right.
I got a question.
We have a few callers here.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's take the calls, and then I got a question. Go ahead.
All right. The first one here is Kesali Double. Kesali Double. Quickly, you have 50 seconds. Oh, hold on. Somebody muted the line. This may be a problem. Go ahead with your question, William. The line is muted. I will.
Thank you, Dennis.
Those are controlled. The phone line is muted, and when it's muted over there, it's just almost impossible to unmute it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're a caller to unmute, it's *6 or *7. Maybe get
muted.
I just did.
Okay, go ahead. Kesali, are you there? All right, we may have the same problem.
So real quick to Ian, Cecilia, take a stab at it. Are you guys offering mortgages to the diaspora still work abroad? Will that be available?
The answer from me is most likely yes, but this will all be decided through the LBDI bank. We're providing the investment for the mortgages, and the LBDI bank will be offering the mortgages. So our mortgage investment will be to purchase the houses that we build. So the more houses we build, the more mortgages that we want to offer. So one works hand in hand with the other one. So I can't answer that directly at this stage.
Thank you,
William. But the intention is to do so, yes.
Right. I think we're having a problem with our phone lines. So we'll be rounding this off in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Go ahead, William, if you have more questions. And then we can hear from our guests with their final comments.
Okay. Just working with the LBDI and the various banks, have you guys seen any challenges with the process in terms of getting the individuals qualified? Do you think that there might be some non-conventional methods since folks don't have a steady job as consistent?
This is what we do. If you look, where people who have income will go through the banks will qualify them. Sometimes, people like to go up front and pick a house first. When I work with Honda, I like to work things backward. It's good for you to go and get qualified first. After you've been qualified, then you can go out and pick out a house. All of the houses are fine, except for space. Depending on the space that you want, or which one of the contractor you want to go with. Again, we have many contractors. We have two right now that are working, and then we're going to have Eon's. Their mindset with Eon's company, their mindset is that to make the houses affordable and provide a mortgage. So in that way, it is easier for the people. We also have local banks, so theirs is easier. We also have other local banks too, and I think their interest rate is going to be it's not going to be high. So we have other banks. So you want to, wherever you have your payroll check going, that's where you go to get, pre-qualify for the loan. Then the bank pay for the house. You stay in the house and then you pay the banks. You remember way back they used to have a Chase Manhattan Bank in Liberia?
Yeah.
You know that most of those big houses that were built, even including my dad's house, was also built that way. They went to Chase Manhattan Bank. They gave them a loan for 20 years. Yeah, our loan is 30 years. You give them a loan for 20 years. The papa built a very beautiful house. That's where we lived when we grew up.
Right.
When the papa retired, that's right.
Question.
We pay.
Hold on, William. We're going to take few calls. Please, our guests, please listen and jot down the question. We're going to run through these calls quickly so we can end the show. We start with Kesali Double. Kesali, you have less than a minute. Quickly to the question. Oh, Mr. Celia, the line is muted again. All right, I think we...
Dennis, I think our next project would be investing in a TV production company in the US.
What I was gonna ask is, Ian,
the main line is not muted. She should be good.
No, the phone line.
Let's not spend time on the muting. Let's not spend time on if people can get online, then we should just continue.
Yeah, let's continue. William, we have one more question, and then we ask our guests for their final thoughts.
Right. What's your strategy?
Okay. Aliyu, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
I'm here.
Go ahead quickly.
Yes, Sister Cecilia, how you doing? And let me say hi to my brother in the studio from London and welcome to Liberia. This is one of the most positive shows I've seen lately, and I want to thank you guys for bringing this on. And Sister Cecilia, you're doing a wonderful show. I will reserve all of my critical questions because I'm mostly Indian and Liberian people, so I'm with you on this. My only suggestion to you and your partner in the studio over there is that you have to do everything in your power to work with LBDA so as to include us in the diaspora. We have most of the money. Okay, we have most of the money. So whatever you do now, whatever setup that you guys do, please include us firsthand. And give us a phone number, a direct line that we call immediately because some of us go to Liberia. I'm going there in the next 10 days. So who we can go to, where we can go and meet, and then have some kind of a risk that if it's possible through the bank, we can set up a different direct deposit or electronic wiring where every month the company mortgage money goes directly to LBDI or something of such. So it would be a good idea. I don't want you to start this thing without us. He's going to need us. So please include us and work with LBDI to get us in the very beginning of this entire thing. I love it because we send money abroad. I spent so much money just to finish one foundation, and they can't finish. So this will be a good thing.
Thank you, Ali.
That's nothing for us. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ali. Quickly, let me go to Casali Double.
Yeah, it seems to be like they never don't want me to stop tonight. Good evening.
You're eating up your time. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jai, and thank you, your guest in studio.
Thank you.
Mrs. Brown, the project in itself is a good project, but the name of the project and knowing for the fact that we have most Liberian employees are making as little as $150, and the project is called Pro Housing Project.
We didn't call that. You decided to call it that. You wanted to be political, so you're
that's the name.
Let me finish.
But you yourself just call the name on studio right here. You just said the same thing.
Go ahead. How do we expect the little man who was working in government, who was making $150, to be able to afford any of those houses that you are building? Is there any way you can introduce this LP that we to have in those days where everybody, regardless of their status in government, can qualify for this housing instead of limiting the people making 500, 600 or more? And is it true that the housing still owe its employee up to the tune of 10 months or maybe beyond? Thank you.
That's not true. You want to be political, but let me get to that point. You want to be political. Let me be political. Some time ago, a corporation that doesn't have no money, no managing director should carry people there, whether because of political reasons. And, someone did that. And you know what? We paid those people off during the Christmas period when we didn't have no money. We paid them 2 months and told them they had to go because remember, I met $341 in the company's coffer. Now, with $341, you're able to pay people who are not on Ministry of Finance payroll. All our employees are on Ministry of Finance payroll. So those people were not on Ministry of Finance payroll. They were not captured on the payroll. So there was no need for them to be there, when they are not captured on the payroll. We have to make sound decisions that will not bring embarrassment to the government, irrespective of what. If that's an issue, someone send them, you go there, you explain, look, this can be done because it brings in future embarrassment. You cannot be afraid. You only have to make good decisions. And if you have to be terminated because you made a good decision, then so be it. We have to be managers. The president is not going to come and babysit us, into our offices after we've been appointed. He appointed us because we are able to calculate and make sound decisions. So, everything is not politics. If a company didn't have no money, let me tell you something, I'm not being egotistical, but many people couldn't take that company and take it to the level that we have for the past 1 year and 4 months. Let's put it that way. Even since 1960, that housing was established, like I said, they only built 2,180 housing units. But right now, our housing units, we got 5,000, we got 50,000, we have 4,000 more coming. We're bringing in mortgage and things. So you know what? These are the kind of things the president is looking for. It's not looking for, I'm not even sycophantic. You don't see me, going up and down, running behind the president. I'm there to make my decisions that when the president sees those decisions, he's happy with it. If he's not happy with it, then I won't retain my job. If he's happy with it, And that's what we should be thinking about, not, who got fired, of course, nothing here is perfect. How many people are not working in America here? When I like to be factual, I lived in America before. How many people live in apartments still? They get on Facebook and they act like, when I live here, I live in houses. I live in Liberia. I live in a house that I built. Since most of my people can't, diaspora people can't build there because they're having problem, we are bringing that service to you. You can either accept the service or you can see how many people who's not working. You look at your 5 fingers; they're not equal. The 5 fingers. We're going to have these problems all over the world. It's not unique to Liberia.
Thank you. Let me bring you another caller. 703-709-1500. Your name and where you calling from?
This is Benedict Phillips. Thank you, Mr. Ja.
Benedict.
How are you?
Yeah, quickly to the issue.
Yeah, Madam Coffee, thank you so much for, all of the work you've been doing in government to kind of give us the Liberian people
give a little more volume.
Liberia.
Little more volume.
Sure. I have my mask on. I'm sorry. So, Madam Coffee, thank you so much for all of your sacrifice that you've been doing here at the National Housing Authority. Look, the only point I want to get through is, besides thanking you, there are a lot of us here in the United States that want to go home. We want to invest in Liberia. We want to do things for our people. We want the economy of Liberia to be prosperous so that Liberia can be sweet again for all of us. The reason we are asking some of these questions is not to attack you, Mama. It's not really to attack you. It's just to find out how is it we can help you. How is it that we can get involved? If you have over 200, 300 Liberian people who can build houses in Liberia, that can be a jump start for a Liberian economy. So when we ask these questions, like I was asking you, how some of these things are done, I'm honestly really just asking you for good answers. I love the kind of sacrifices some of you have made leaving United States to go to Liberia to lay the groundwork for some of us. So I want you to just, if the question is asked, just answer it. I know sometimes there are a lot of negative people, but it's not everybody who is negative. No. It's not out of us, Mama. We just want to make sure that we are able to understand what is going on. This is a good program. This is an absolutely good program. We are all fighting to go home and enjoy Liberia and rebuild Liberia. So some of you have already used that sacrifice to lay the groundwork. So thank you guys for all what you do. But that's what I want you to do, Mama. Cool your heart down. Answer their questions. But before I go, the last thing, I want to know if there are any other information sessions that diaspora Liberians, especially here in the U.S., can participate in to know exactly, to have those who have more questions like I do, to answer them and make this thing work. All right? And congratulations, because you're my bomb too. So all of that, you've been excellent, okay? That's all, Mama. Thank you, Mr. Ja, and thank you for focus on Liberia.
Thank you. Sissy, before you come in, let me take 2 more callers. Oliver, you're live. Quickly.
Yeah, how you doing? Thank you for the show, and really impressed with the housing department during this project, because my grandmother has benefited from this housing project. But what I'm saying is that I know, like what she's saying, and another person came out and said, "Oh, most of the Liberians making $150." So, is there anything in the package that can be done on the same way as they have some housing project here, like six-story building, 10-story building, where low income people can afford, apart from the aristocrat or the third class, who can afford, have to pay $40,000, $50,000. Is there anything in there? I'm sorry, I don't. The gentleman, I just forgot his name, so I'm not able to repeat it. So I hope they forgive me on that. Is anything in that budget to say, okay, let's look at the other side of the matters, in the sense that even though it's going to be like $50 or $100 or $25, but is this something that is allocated in the sense that for the low income people that making $150, you can build the same project that we have in America, a housing project, where is that in the sense that they can build a full 7-story building to be able to afford it.
Thank you. Let me take my last caller for the night, and that would be Moses. Moses, quickly, you're live. Yes. Let's talk.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Ms. Brown, thank you very much. But I think you are a little feisty, and we don't mean any harm. This is our country. That's why we tune in. I mean, we all have an interest. I've been fighting for almost 6 years now to get my folks out of West Point, and I got a place for them somewhere on Driver's Market, and it's still not feasible. So I'm working on 2 places in Johnsonville and Caldwell. But my question is very simple. You are a full runner, and I really appreciate that. I've tapped into your courage. The question is very simple. I mean, you're talking about facts. We have nearly 70,000 civil servants in our country. So that's a market that you really identify. The question is, how many people at the port authority where you work that make more than maybe $500, or what is the average pay there? And of the nearly 5 million Liberians that will be able to tap into the program that you are now selling to us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dennis.
Yeah, go ahead.
According to statistics, since 2008, Liberia needs to build 512 housing units by 2030. And we even going there yet, Seth. Okay?
Okay.
We have not even gone anywhere according to statistics from now to 2030. So one of the reasons why I brought Ian here, number one, is to ensure that other people who are listening to, because Liberians too, you can formulate yourself and you can do business there. You know who are working here, and you can buy houses there for people and they pay you here. That's one of the things I want to get on this program. Another thing I want to get on this program is to see whether Ian or any other person, since they're going to do mortgage business in Liberia, so that they will know that there's a vast market here. Also, you're asking some political questions. The questions that you're asking is like, how these people didn't get paid. If you were to, and I will repeat again, if you were to receive a company that only has 214, because most people take a job to steal, but there's some of us who are very, very committed. If you took a company that only had $314 in the bank coffers, half of the people run away. They will not be committed. They will not use their own cars to go to work. So far, there's no gas slip there because sometimes people misconstrue us the kind of sacrifices that we're making. Not only me, other people in my category too. There's some places there that are lucrative. Even the National Port Authority that people see that way. When I got there again, let me repeat, there was only $243,000 in the coffers, with the payroll being $329,000. Okay, that was a huge tax there to bring the port to where it is. So we are making sacrifices. Today the port is valuable. Today you see administrative building in the center of the place. Like I said, we will meet those challenges. So it's not bread and butter in Liberia. It is, it is closely near to hell. But if you want to see that other people build this country where people are, where we are today. So why we can't go home and build our little country that only got 5 million people? But every time we come on talk show, we even come with investors, you as a Liberian, you won't think that, even let's just say, for being patriotic, you will want to ask all these questions. The person didn't get paid, with 341 I can pay people. No. Right. So you got to find a strategy to be able to appease the people and then go to work and put money in the institution. As our investors are building, we will be having percentage there. With that percentage, we can now begin. You get money. How you build for the people? For how you build low income housing units? You got to go to the people that got money first. When the people begin to buy and we begin to get our percentage, then we begin to build those small horses now. For the poor people. And the president is even doing that. A lot of his presidential projects, when he went on campaign, he promised the people in the villages, in the township that he would live, and they're doing that. You go to Grand Kuru right now. They're going to Bong counties. Liz is doing that. That's a different institution. So the president is catering to that. You go to Popo Beach, you see those beautiful houses. They're very cheap. So that's the commitment the president made. But remember, I have a public corporation. I'm not running a charity organization. Affordable housing means you go cut your coat according to your measurement. You're making 500. You can't go take a $100,000 house. So we have houses from 20,000 onwards. That's it. Nobody get 10,000. When I was living balance with estate as a young girl, I used to pay for my housing unit. I paid $125,000. So, I pay $125, per month. Mm-hmm. So if I pay $125 a month, why other people can, in this day or age now where things are going up, you see? Right. So I'm a business. I'm a corporation. Corporation is the profit making, it's the service provider and also profit making part of government.
Thank you. And Sissy, the purpose of the program is for you to give out this kind of information. So when they are asking, just provide the information and also bear in mind that the job you have is a political job. So also be prepared to answer political questions. I
didn't come here for political.
Right. That's why we have not been. So
if you want to then I will come prepare for those people who want to listen, and I will also come the other way to people who just want to disrespect the government. If you want to be respected, then you can't ask questions that are totally off.
Right. People do not know. People that are asking, they do not know
you allow
that $340 in their account. So the more you put out this information, it's going to clarify their doubts and it's going to help to explain these things to the
I'm not trying to denigrate Madam Salif, but you know what? During the transitional period, people did a whole lot of damage there. So all the things, people always talk about the government. Let me just go a little bit. When this government took over, even Ome left. By Ome leaving, how much chunk of money left the country? So people don't take into consideration all these things. We're already struggling. It's already COVID time. Every time you see the president still, trying to find money here and there to do projects. But people here, we got to love our country. Unlike you, I'm not going to, criticize my country because I know with my contribution and other people's contribution, Liberia will rise. Other men build Liberia, that build those roads that were on before the war. We can take it to another level with all our master's degree and PhD degree.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the voice of the managing director of the NHA, that's the National Housing Authority. We also have Mr. Ian Fenwick, a potential investor specifically in the housing project here with us. At this time, we're going to be drawing down the curtain, so we'll go around the room and get our final thoughts from our guests. Let's start with you, Mr. Fenwick.
Thank you very much. So very interesting and lively debate show. Thank you for having me on your show. My closing remark really is just to say that our project, we just have a blank canvas at the moment. Our projects are simply to build, develop and progress with the projects, particularly the housing, the hospitals and the investments in Liberia. And by doing this, it's all about Liberia. We're bringing in international investment, but with Liberian people and diaspora as well. There's been quite a few comments there about, can you reach out to diaspora? Can you include diaspora? Yes, of course we can. One of our plans, which we'll be discussing, this won't be external. Everything we do will be discussing internally with the NHA and LBDI to authorise it, is to put together a marketing and information website specifically for diaspora in the US, so that once we start putting the bricks on the ground, they can see what they can do. They can see how they can access the mortgages and to buy houses to return home. Because a comment that many of your callers have made is that they want to go home to their country. That's quite an emotive thing to hear for me. I was born in the UK. I live in the UK. My business is in Africa. I'm home in my country now. That touched my heart to hear those things being said.
Thank you. Sissy?
Yeah, Dennis, first of all, I say thank you for this show. I know it should have been done a long time ago, but since I was coming to the US, I tabled it for this time. I'm here for a little bit of family and then work also. This is also work, and I have some other meetings to attend. And again, it's good that Mr. Fenwick is here, so you will know that we have investors. When we're talking these things here, we're very, very serious, especially when president look at you and give you an appointment. It's from above. You read Psalm 75 verse 6, it say promotion doesn't come from the east, it comes from God. So when God uses the president to appoint you, you have to take that job very, very seriously. And sometimes you would not have the tools to work with. The NPA had a little bit of everything I worked there, but NHA had nothing. NPA has something because you know what? I fought together with my management team to make it what it is, because the president expected that of me, even though in my position as acting managing director, I was on the right trajectory. The president that came after me also kept that trajectory. Same thing with National Housing Authority. Like again, if the president should send me somewhere else, or if I should leave, at least we would have already put that program in place. It will affect, diaspora Liberia. It will affect, the people who are on the ground, who are working now. And ladies and gentlemen, let me let you know, everything is not rosy in Liberia. Some people have money, but some people don't have money. But we can use that, as a political tool, to discredit the government. Because I want you to take away today that National Housing Authority only built 2,180 housing units since its establishment. Since Joria time, he put me there last year. Let me speak our Liberian English. One of our projects, just 5,000 housing units being built. We have an investor for 4,000 housing units. We have 50,000 units going across. We have others who are coming. If these people have faith in our country, then we must also have faith in our government. If the English people have faith in our president, then we too we should back our president up, and we should have faith in our president. That's the only way anything is going to work in Liberia. That's the only way. When election time comes, everybody go vote for the person they want to vote for. You understand me? But until then, we will continue to work, because we elected a president here, and we must work with him. When he put us somewhere, he will not babysit us. We must work with him. Me, I can't feed into opposition because, I'm an advisor to the president in my portfolio. In my portfolio, I will be advising about housing, affairs. So I can't be a backstabber at the same time, and be it's deceitful.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. That's the words of the Managing Director of National Housing Authority, Mrs. Cecilia Cuffy-Brown. And that's how we're going to be ending the show. We thank you so much for watching. And the website will be posted. And Cici, if you can give us all the information we need, because people will be asking us how they can invest, because we have Liberian investors too, like myself. Yeah.
I want them to come.
Right.
We're making it easy for them. We're making everything easy for everybody. Very easy.
So those of us who
I just want business.
Right. And so we'll be looking at your website and also updating. Anytime we want to still continue on this discussion so that people get more information that they need, so that we keep this going. We want to appreciate you so much for coming, and also Mr. Fenwick joining us from the UK. Sorry, Arsenal has not been able to win. That's my team too, but it is what it is. So don't worry about it. We're going to come back. So William, back to you so you can end the show.
Well, I just want to thank each and every one of our listeners and viewers and those who have tuned in. One of the key takeaways is that I think should leave you very exciting. I think that will be coming out from the NHA and from its investors and so forth is I think there will be some options available for the Liberians in the diaspora who would like to be on the investing side and not just the purchasing of the home, but also on the investing side. So I think that that's very exciting. And so let's tune in. Let's continue to remain positive with our Liberia. And Celia and Ian, we want to say thank you. And our job on this show is to promote, elevate, and educate folks on all things Liberia. And no matter the conversation, how it goes, it is what it is. And last but not least, I can just tell you this, Ian, that you see the kind of pepper this woman have. So if you say you're going to build a house, I hope you do it because, you know, you got to hold you accountable. So the other Liberians that are listening, don't worry. We have someone in that chair that will make sure it gets done. So I want to say thank you to everyone. Meaning that as a joke, but just grateful and enjoy the rest of your evening.
And we're going to leave you with the song that says, we are all Liberians. Whether you're going to purchase the house for affordable housing, low income, or luxurious one, we are all Liberians. You could be Crew, Crown, Gribble, Mandingo, Pele, or Vi. We are all Liberians. Whatever your position, we are all Liberians. Good night and God bless you.
Stay on. Stay on.